Okay. Cool.
Hey.
Cool. Look at us.
Look at us.
Look at us. Hey.
Look at
God,
us.
what a
Back
what
again.
What a thing to say. Paul, what an icon Paul Rudd is.
I know, right?
Hey, look at us.
Look at us.
Huh?
Who would have thought?
Not me.
How do you just? That's incredible.
That's what you say, and it becomes a
and
cultural.
it's just like a thing that is so useful.
What's the word? It's a neologism, right? Like,
Is that
the right word?
I don't know.
Where it's
I don't
like
know
that's like a cultural. You know what I mean? Like everybody knows when you say that.
Yeah.
What you're talking about.
It's a very but it's very useful little like expression.
Yeah.
So
many,
but it's so simple,
Yeah.
but it's so like clear.
Exactly what you're talking
Exactly
about.
what you're talking about. Yeah, yeah.
And it's
you can use it in both
varietous.
directions too.
Yeah.
You can use it as like we're doing so great. You can also do it as like it's like really bad.
Yeah.
How did we get here? You know, and
It
people were
is-
using it like for people who are evil to be like they're saying it to each other. Just like
Oh, look at us.
look at hey.
Look at us. Look at us fucking shit up.
It's just destroying the world.
Look at us being evil. You ever like evil people have cabal meetings, right? Where they're like conscious of how evil they are. They're like, yes, we're doing terrible things.
You wish they were that self-aware.
I know,
you know?
right? Yeah. But they're like, we're doing the best thing for everybody. That's the problem. That great John Cleese quote. Like, the problem with stupid people is they lack precisely the faculties that are required to recognize that they're stupid. I love that quote so much. I say it all the time. I know I for sure said it with you before
It's a good one.
in conversation. But
Oh God, it's so real.
I think John Cleese. That's the older guy from Monty Python.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Also plays nearly head in his neck in Harry Potter, which
That-
is a
he
weird,
does,
weird thing to
yeah.
remember him from.
I didn't
but
realize that.
He's in so many things, and I just remember for some reason that's like the first instance of him
My
that pops to
image
mind.
of him is Faulty Towers.
Oh, that's
Because that's like his like sitcom. That's like
Yeah.
the John Cleese sitcom.
I remember that there's because that's the restaurant one or whatever, right? Where he's
It's
in
like
the restaurant.
it's like a hotel.
Yes,
He
yes,
owns a
yes.
hotel. Yeah.
Oh God, that's a good scene.
It's good. It's good stuff.
There's a very, very famous bit from that I've seen a bunch, and it's fucking gold.
I'll just always remember he was on the Nerdist podcast, and they asked him like what his like least favorite memory was, and it was like or least favorite episode, and he was like, I don't know what episode it was, but there's a scene that will live forever in my head where the gag is that there's like a moose head on the ceiling above me, like a taxidermy moose head, and it falls on me. And you can see in my face that I'm waiting for it to fall on me.
Oh.
and it's just like, I just related to that so hard as an actor.
Hilarious,
Where you're
right?
just like so mad at yourself because you know you're ruining the joke.
Yeah.
You're like-
Oh, I love that. That's what a great like thing to say though.
Yeah.
Right? It's like that's your greatest.
that's
like,
your,
regret or
that's the
whatever.
thing that keeps you up at night.
It's funny the way that it's funny like the things that keep people up. Like I actually had a friend yesterday who told me about something that kept him up, and I was like, oh, I didn't think that at all. Like
Yeah.
because he was like he hates first person narration in books. Like he can't stand it.
Interesting.
And he was like one of the comments I made, because there are a couple of books that I like that are first person narrator, right? I like the Black Company novels, those are first person.
Yeah.
I like the Red Rising series, that's first person. And I'm not a big fan of it either. It's not my favorite, but there are a few books. And anyway, and he was like, I feel like I implied that that's like just a shitty, like objectively shitty way to like write a book. And that's not what I was like, oh, I didn't think that at all. And I was like, and you could feel that way and be wrong. That's
Right.
okay.
That's
like,
also fine.
You know, that's
Yeah.
fine. I was like, but like also I like, that's a preference thing, right?
Sure.
Like there's nothing bad about me that I like those two books, despite that fact. Like, you're allowed to not like that, Justin. And he was like, okay. And I could tell he was like actually worried
But
that
it
he
is-
like
I don't
insulted my taste. And I'm like, no, like that's a preference thing. It's okay. You can dislike it very strongly.
I'm of that certain disposition where once I get diagnosed with something, I start to like just believe everyone has it.
Yeah.
But I have OCD, and one of the like symptoms is checking and rechecking.
Oh.
Is this thing? It's like a thing that I identify, and it's that kind of thing where you're playing back scenes from your day and going, oh, did they take the like worst possible thing away from the thing that I desperately like? I'm terrified of being misunderstood. I hate being misunderstood at the core of my being.
Yeah.
Like I want to be understood so desperately, and I think that's how I ended up doing any of this.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But it's like, yeah, you just so like at some point, like he had that conversation with you, and then at some point he was like going over the conversation in his mind. He's like, oh, did that come off like I don't like any book that has
yeah,
that, or, whatever,
or like
you know?
that people
Or that I
who
think
do
it's,
like it are
less of an art.
inferior. Yeah. And I was like, I didn't take it that way at all, bud. You're good. And he was like, I could see the visible relief on his face because he's like, it's funny. He has very strong opinions and he can be very like, especially when he gets a couple of beers in him, he can say some stuff. And it's like, whoa. But he's from Buffalo. He's just aggressive that way. And he's very passionate about what I view as like very benevolent things. Like he's super passionate about like human rights and like good stuff, you know what I mean? But he can be kind of abrasive in the way that he says some things, and I fucking God love him. But it's just funny, and then I know he has that where he replays it, and I do too, right? I'm like, oh God, like did I say that, or you know, did someone like to your point, right? Like, and I think that is an interesting quality of a lot of I think anybody, or rather not anybody, but I do think it is interesting that. A lot of people who are drawn to the performing arts, I think have that fundamental kind of need to like be understood, and like to be misunderstood is kind of anathema to that, right? Like it's a very it's very contrarian to like the kind of the core need that you have, right? Which is to be like seen and understood for what you are and who you are. And so like when you're misunderstood, it's like I did that work assessment thing that I think I told you about. Yeah. And those my two strongest are I'm a builder merchant, but like by 1 point I'm a builder first. Okay. And builders are like move fast, break things, and they're like defaults. We talked about this. I remember telling you about it because I remember you made the comment of like the negative communication styles that each of these types falls into are like really abrasive. Yeah. Like builders is intimidation. Right. So I'm like, okay, so when I feel but their fear is being powerless. And I'm like, yep, that is like probably my deepest fear. More than being misunderstood for me is being powerless. Yeah. And I know that because I'm like, there's a point at which I could get to with like the misunderstood thing where I'm like, fuck them. Like eventually, like for me personally. In very rare cases, right? That's a kind of a fringe case because I do desperately want to be like to be simpatico and like come to an understanding and an agreement. But like I know I can eventually write that off. Whereas like powerlessness, nope. That is my like deepest held fear. And so but it's interesting. So I bet you're probably the other way. You're probably slight skewed toward merchant, which are much more relational. And so
that was the communication style that's manipulated or something. It's like, oh God.
No. It is manipulate, and it's like and manipulate is such a kind of nasty word, but it's not necessarily. I feel like maybe like. I don't know, like accommodate would be a better word.
I like to think when you said that and you were saying they all have negative connotations, like my way of interpreting it is I was like, oh, well, I'm very conscientious about how other people are feeling. Like I'm very sensitive to how people are feeling. Yes. Like the way that I grew up was to be tuned in to like how everybody was doing and how to like try to make everybody happy. Yep. And that is my like default condition is to be like, how can I make everybody happy? Yep. And
make
like,
sure we're all
what kind of
good.
Dance do I need to do? You know, like how do I make this kind of? So that makes sense to me. That is being manipulative. It's just like
but it just like sounds so dirty.
It's not Machiavellian.
That's
right?
a good like Machiavellian manipulation versus like just like. Interpersonal navigation, maybe, you know what I mean? Of like, okay, how can I like accommodate or, that feels like a better word. Accommodate the manipulate. Like it's going to be there. It's like, okay, well, how can we like get there, right? Yeah. Whereas like, I guess mine is like, fuck you, I do what I want. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's worse.
But it's like you're authoritative. It's like when we're having those like difficult discussions and you're like, like I frankly I don't see how that's a problem. It's like that's you being like whatever intimidating, but you're just basically going, this isn't an issue. Yeah, which is true.
Right? Sometimes, right?
Which is true.
Oftentimes, though, that can like it comes across as very dismissive, of that other side.
But it is like really helpful in those instances because it kind of like cuts through like the of everything.
The sort of like the postulating as to like, well, what might be the thing or whatever. And I sometimes I do. I'm like, I just don't think that's an issue at all. Like I was in like a business situation not too long ago and I was the only one, like everybody disagreed with me and I was like, you're all wrong. I was like, I think you're all wrong. And I was like, I know this, I sound like an asshole when I say this. I just genuinely don't think that's a concern that we should be worried about at all. Because it was like an image thing of like, oh, well, if we do this, it could be perceived as this. And I'm like, could be is a problem I'm not interested in dealing with. Like,
and that's my problem is when I get presented with those things, even when I know it's not a real problem, because I'm so accommodating. I'm like, oh, well, you don't have to worry about that for this litany of reasons. And then we start dissecting the reasons I've come up with. And I'm like, okay, I'll accommodate that too.
Then like, more.
Like, I can give you even more. Like, I can like kind of like that I can go down a spiral that way.
And like, again, right? Like on the one hand, but I will say what I think is builders, merchants are very good pairings. Yeah. Because merchants are usually able to like bring a builder down a little bit and be like, hang on, like we do have to actually consider how other people are doing in this situation. It's worthwhile to consider. Yeah. Whereas builders could be like, like that's not a problem. Like bulldoze it, right? Like builders are bulldozers. Like they can be, right? They can be very authoritarian. Yeah. They can be kind of tyrannical. And when they get into like their negative energy, right? And all those personality types, there's like, when you get into your negative energy. And so like builders, when we feel very powerless, we start to get more authoritarian.
Of that.
And with merchants, it's like when you feel disconnected, you start to, I forget what it is, but like it becomes, you really start to accommodate, maybe at the expense of self, which is like, that's the problem with that side of it, right?
I would assume,
so it's like on the one hand, like, it's like, well, do you sacrifice, kind of yourself in order to make other people happy? Or do you piss everybody off? And then in a way, sacrifice yourself because now you've burned a bunch of bridges and you pissed everybody off and no one likes you. You know what I mean? It's like, you can't get through life without so like you have to be able to like, that's why those pairings are very good, right? And I was watching, last thing, and then we got to go. Yeah. I was watching Ford v Ferrari, which is a fun movie. It was a great movie.
Good time with it.
And like Carroll Shelby, merchant. Merchant builder, and then Ken, builder, 100% builder, right? Like fucking just make the fucking car. He doesn't give a shit about anybody.
Right.
And Shelby was like, you do what you do and I'll do what I do. And Shelby has to like make it all work with the corporates and the schmoozing and the, like navigate the relationships and manipulate them like in a way, right? So I was like, oh, that's why those pairings work so well, is because you have one person who's like, this is what we fucking need to do. Yeah. And I see that very clearly. So let's fucking do it. And then the merchant's like, I agree. However, these are the very real personal capital problems we need to navigate to do that well. So like, I'll do that and you do that and together we'll fucking make some magic happen.
Exactly. So, yeah. Well, teamwork makes the dream work. It
really does,
man. Yeah, I'm texting Rebecca right now that we're going to need an extra 15 minutes.
Yep. All right. Shit. Yeah, we should get started. She's gonna be like, "Oh my god, you guys!"
We're like, "You fucking guys."
This will be pre-roll.
This will be all the pre-roll. Yeah.
Juicy content.
This is going on the episode. I'm gonna be real. People gotta hear this.
Yeah, apparently,
free podcast.
Hey man, you didn't know you were gonna get
some kind of weird business 101
deep insight into our psychologies and who we are as people. But there you go.
Well, this is Mastering the Game.
I'm Seth.
I'm Shane, and today we're talking about DMing with a time limit, which is I wonder how much of a actual play exclusive this is, because I do think I have DM'd many casual games with a hard time limit where people had to leave by a certain time. I've DM'd two like special event type situations where one was a proposal, so that sort of had its own kind of time constraints, and the other one was a birthday, so it was a surprise. So we had to have like all of his like character stuff prepared in advance and have like the module make perfect sense for a brand new player who was like getting surprised with a game of D&D. So it was like that kind of thing, which wasn't like a hard out situation. It's just like things having like very particular constraints, I guess. But the main constraint that we have in most of our DMing is the time of recording and making sure we get the episode done.
Which is like it's funny though, because like there's as with most things, there's levels, it feels like, right? There's like, because in a in a casual or at home game, like you just have very real life constraints of like, oh, this person has to be gone by this time because they gotta thing they got to go to, or like
They
their
got a kid.
spouse or their kid, right?
They gotta work in the morning.
Yeah, like those are very real. And so like every D&D game in a way does have time constraints, generally speaking, right?
Yeah.
But like I think that it is a very unique situation when you're like at, you know, a con where it's like you're gonna get kicked off of the stage if you don't finish. You know what I mean? And that is a whole nother level
It's
of
a
like,
whole
stress.
thing.
You know,
Yeah.
it's a very unique problem to have. But that being said, like I also think that every D&D game, like when you think about a time limit, right? You also got to think like, and I'm kind of I'm like literally inventing this as I'm saying it because the thought just occurred to me. It's kind of like a good D&D session, right? Like a really good D&D session. We use this flywheel that well, maybe we'll share someday. I don't know, but I feel like it's an internal tool we use basically to discover like what happened in the episode, like what are the boxes we checked as far as like from a storytelling perspective.
Yeah.
And I think a good D&D session does those things in a reasonable amount of time.
Yeah.
Right? It's kind of like a good episode of television.
Yeah.
Right? Or like, I mean, like a good episode of television, there's a certain amount of things that happen, some plot points, some character development, some good things, some whatever.
Yeah.
And then it ends, right? In a place that while we know maybe the story's not over, it's a satisfactory ending as far as that chapter goes.
Right.
And so like, and that I think is maybe the most challenging, one of the more challenging things about this format is like, how do I find that moment in the game where it feels like a really organic, good stopping point?
Yep.
And like, okay, we can jump off from here next time. And sometimes it's at the highest tension point.
Right.
Sometimes, right?
Yeah. Which like, I know that was something that Ethan prioritizes. He was like, I gotta end it on a cliffhanger, right?
Interesting.
And that was something that he was always so like every session ended on a cliffhanger. Just some of which ended up being like kind of false alarms. You know what I mean? Like it would be like this big cliffhanger, and then we'd get to the next thing, and it was like, and it's your friend Jeff. Like, right, you know, the door opens, and there's fire coming out of it, and then it's our friend Jeff with the torch. You know, that kind of thing. Which is like a way to keep, I know that's like a fun thing to do even in a home session to try and like make everybody excited to come back for the next one to like find out what happened with the thing, you know. It is sometimes useful to just be like, and now we're at time, so I will now end the session, you know, like with that last like beat, that punctuation mark, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that like that's a thing that you get a bit of a feel for, right, as you graduate more and more into DMing. And like it's funny that you mentioned like this is kind of like the obligatory cliffhanger. Like don't get me wrong, I'm notorious, and I think and our comments will show like you said, because and I partially like I think because I knew it was a thing because I'd listened to a lot of the show. Right. So I knew that it was the thing that Ethan did. So I was like, okay, well, that's part of the format of the show. Yeah. Right. Is that like we kind of end on these big moments to make sure that people come back, you know. Walking Dead did it all the time through the first couple seasons. Like, agonizing. Dude, it was the worst. Severance does it, the show on Apple. Like every fucking ending, you're like, what? Yeah. Like, so but I mean, and it's, you know.
It's a good formula.
Like, it's a good formula and it works. But sometimes, right? It's really nice to just end in the resolve and in order, in the afterglow, you know? Yeah.
Like, whole thing happens in the one thing.
And then you get this kind of very like wholesome, I don't even remember what episode it is, but there's an episode where I go, well, I think we'll just end it right there. Because it was so just like,
it's just a nice little tender
everybody
moment.
was warm and fuzzy on the inside. And I was like, that's perfect.
Yeah.
We can end it right there. Like, and so you kind of feel for it. But the time limit, man, the one like tip, and I know we have a clip up, which we'll watch that. We'll actually maybe we watch this first, and then we can comment on how this the learnings, and the learnings from it.
Yeah, for sure. So this is for a little context. This is our WonderCon performance.
Yes.
This was your second time doing a con.
Yeah, second. Yeah.
After Comic-Con, and this was your first time doing like an isolated one shot within that. Obviously, it still took place in Elbor, but it was like
a definitive start and end,
beginning, middle, end, and
had to do it all doing. Yeah,
had to get to the end.
Yeah, God.
So this is a fairly long clip because it's a very sophisticated kind of moment. So I'll just let it rock.
You take 26 points mixed slashing and poison damage. That is going to end their turn.
And with that, I will fall.
Oh shit! Okay.
After that, chain lightning.
Okay.
I was so mad at him for not taking his fucking potion in between.
There are 3 wizards. They're still focusing on the machine.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. All right. No one's within melee of any of the guys.
No.
We're all
Shit.
theater. You guys have theater of the mind. I had a map, but you guys couldn't even see.
I will make a hand motion.
If you watch
and
my
angle towards
expression here,
the object.
you can see
the
Rebecca
item.
convincing me with eyes.
Yep.
Yeah. With my action, I'll first I will begin my.
Yeah,
I
she's
completely.
and
She's
then,
she's
with
like
my
glaring me
action,
down, and
I
literally
move
in the
away
moment I
from
changed my
the
entire
team.
plan because of the way Rebecca's looking at me.
Far.
Well, I think she. I think like
go around the
like.
back.
Can I back it
Yeah,
up? a little?
yeah, back it up.
I think like right. Let me see if I can. Oh shit.
Oh, you're good.
Is it
Yeah,
like a go back
it's
10
probably
second?
1 second. There's not.
It's funny
yeah.
because I think if you look at Rebecca's face right here,
With my action.
right there, she's clocking the guy with the sign.
Yeah, yeah.
Far.
Like who's like, hey,
as far as I'm gonna go
10
around
minutes
the
or
back.
5
Yeah,
minutes or
yeah.
I think it was 5 minutes.
From your current vantage point, 5, 10, 15.
Or
20,
like you're
25,
out.
30.
I was
Yeah,
like,
it
oh,
might have been.
shit.
We might have been already out at
That's
this
the machine.
point, which
Okay.
is
With 40
so
feet.
hard.
Yeah.
I will do that.
Okay.
And I will stare hard.
God
at the,
bless
at
you
the
for
gem in
doing
my
this.
Tell me what the thing is that what's the incantation? Siran.
All right. You hear, as if whispered to you in your mind, the incantation is the Elvish word for send.
And I will
You whisper the incantation.
incantation.
I will catch his eyes as he whispers that.
And I give a little wink.
For a moment,
I loved you guys that relationship so much. Such a great little subplot.
take place. It's sending the spell. What do you say?
The incantation. It's the
It
spell.
casts
send.
It took me forever to
Do
catch
I
up with
know
what
to
was
him?
happening with this because that's just like I'm pulling the
Next
lever.
time, easier mission. Okay, we will have talk.
Voice comes through, and you hear it broken as he sighs heavily. I'm so sorry, my friend. And at your feet, about 2 feet in diameter, a metal ball with mithril and adamantine bands around it, grooves and arcane runes as they begin to glow brightly in your final moments. As the breacher bomb that Siran has sent you, what do each of you see?
I will look after this falls at my feet. I will look up to Nissa.
Little sea cucumber. I will see you where the sea meets the stars.
You take 20.
Yeah, I have it on loop on accident. But yeah,
Yes.
so yeah, that's our nice little.
Oh man.
Little
and then
moment
everybody
there.
gets their final moments.
Our little final moments, yeah. Which at that point I think we were completely past.
Oh
time.
yeah, we were out of time. Yeah, so like this was a big learning from this one, right? Because this WonderCon was an hour and 25 minutes.
It was something
It
like
was
that.
like the
it was the shortest
of all the
one,
ones we've
certainly,
done. It was
yeah.
tight.
It is that is a Herculean feat to get anything done.
Well, yeah, anything
in D&D in
I
that
mean,
amount of time.
God, yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
and I took so much time but again, right? I was like, okay, I took a lot of time at the beginning because I was like, well, like, where are we? What are we doing? It was a one shot.
Yeah.
So I felt like I had to do all this context. So a lot of learnings took place from this one,
Yeah,
right? Like,
yeah.
one was that I think if you watch this episode, like the first 10 minutes, which like is a valuable chunk of time.
Yeah,
Maybe 15 is
Yeah.
me just like setting up the
laying
premise.
out everything. Yeah,
And I was like, God. And so like that was a big learning, right?
Right.
Was like is make sure to like, and we instituted it in the next one shot which was a true one shot
Yeah.
at
Comic-Con.
Gen Con or at Comic-Con.
Yeah.
And it was like, make sure to use the session 0 to get as much of that out of the way as you can with your players. And so we did that, right?
Yeah.
And we role played as our characters like ahead of it, like in our session 0, so
Yeah.
that you guys could really just hit the ground running.
Yeah.
Which we did a little bit, I think, with this.
We did
definitely
a whole session 0, but we were in like a different location and everything. It was
that's
before we
true.
got the mission.
Yeah. Whereas like the other one, the session 0 was you guys getting the mission.
Yeah.
And like the context for you guys of like what you're after, why you're after it, who gave you the job,
Yeah.
right? All of that.
Yeah.
So that whole bit, that was a big learning for me. And then, and the other big thing that I did for Comic-Con that was a big learning. Well, actually, before I say this, I'm curious because you've also had to do this.
Yeah.
And you had to do it at Gen Con.
Yeah.
With KTU, which was a one shot, and not just a one shot, but like you had to wrap up which this episode's not out yet. So as to how much you can or cannot say.
Yeah. But
like what?
We'll
Because that was
navigate.
your first experience.
Yeah.
Doing it. How did you feel? Like, what was the worries, concerns? Like, what were there any tools or things that you kind of told yourself that you wanted to have in place?
I was petrified because I really did feel like usually I like to have a ripcord where it's like, okay, we're 15 minutes from time. I will now pull the ripcord wherever we are, and like it'd be like 30 minutes from time, but it's like boss fight. You know what I mean? Or whatever. You know, like we're doing the like climax now because we gotta go. And I had something. What I did instead of that was I had multiple, like you're talking about, moments where I could end the session.
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, we'll do this fight.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm gonna announce the fight and then we're gonna end the session and we'll do the fight and in October or whenever we're gonna record the next session, right? And that was like my potential plan for that. But my main things were like whittling down what I felt like was important for me to say out loud, trying to make sure that I had moments. This is a big one, especially if you don't have much time and you want to have like a fulfilling session. Finding the moments where you can talk less and have your players talk more. Right. Because if you're doing a constrained session, you're going to talk a lot. And so it's like, how quickly can I bring the players in? Yeah. And like, where can I let them move the story forward instead of me so that it feels full, so that there's like something there's more variety in what's happening. It's not my voice the whole time. And I still feel there are places where I could have improved on that for Gen Con, but you
did fucking wonderfully well. I know that feeling of like wanting to move will never go away, but like take your flowers. It was awesome.
I appreciate it. Hey, right back at you.
It was amazing.
Dude. And for what it's worth, like this being our like worst example, you did an amazing job. And like this is such a clearly like powerful dynamic moment that everybody loved. So and including me. One thing that I wrote down on the top of my notes was resources. Like players' resources spent equals time spent. So it's not real time that's spent. So like, for example, if you have an idea in your head about when things are going to take place in the course of your session, in terms of like, once they've been traveling for 10 minutes or something like that, it's better to think of it, in my opinion, it's better to think about it as, have they spent a spell slot? Yeah. Like a spell slot is an amount of time, actually, because it is like a moment, it's an event. Yeah. And so that's what moves the story forward, not like an arbitrary understanding of like, well, it hasn't been enough time for them to get ambushed. It's like, no, did they use an item? Did they interact with an NPC? Like these like events. So it's like whatever kind of, so like, even if your players beat your dungeon in an hour, if they spent 10 spell slots, it felt like an entire night of traveling. You know what I mean? Like that time is more about the resources expended than the actual time spent.
Dang, that's a really interesting tool. I really like that. I've never heard that. I've never heard it framed that way. And that makes 100% sense.
Yeah. It's something that I've learned as a player, right? Of like that same kind of dynamic of being like, oh, that was actually a really, because we've had with the Agents of Repair, we spent a year playing through a week of in-game time, right? And that really landed for me of like, oh, if I don't have any spell slots left, I feel like it's been forever, even if it was one combat encounter, right?
Which is kind of interesting in that like in D&D, it's successful like if the players feel like a lot of time passed, and that feeling of a lot of time passed can come from it doesn't mean that a lot of actual in-game time passed. No. It just means that like,
or
it was
IRL time, right? It's that kind of, it's a weird thing. And that also guided me because I wanted to try to make everything feel full and also like move quickly.
Yeah. Man, I love that though. Cause that you're 100% right. Like I've played, I remember I played a 1 through 20 campaign and we realized that the entire campaign took place in 7 days.
Right.
You know what I mean? Cause it was a Dungeon of the Mad Mage. Yeah. So it was a dungeon crawl.
Right.
But it took like 2.5 years of real lifetime. You know what I mean? It was an AL campaign, so like we leveled very quickly, and like we met every Wednesday, and like no matter who was there, things kept moving. So like it happened really fast, but it was kind of crazy because like it felt like forever.
Yeah.
And like in D&D, you have this perception of time. Like if you dissect it too much, like the entirety of campaign 1 of Venture Forth took place in what, 2-3 months?
At most,
like 2 months. And it's like, like these people are family.
Yeah.
Like it could have been 10 years that they were together.
Yeah.
And like that feeling of time passing is as important, right? It's more important actually than like the arbitrary amount of time that passed either in real life or in the game. Like the story, like, dude, one of the best books I've read in recent memory was that Nuclear War, a scenario book.
Yeah.
The book takes place in 72 minutes.
Right.
But it's 400 pages and it's incredible.
Sure,
right. But it's like, so like
the
that time, you know what I mean, is kind of like the time in the game specifically is like an arbitrary constraint.
Yeah.
But one thing that I think is very useful though, is if you have like that in real life constraint. And this was a big learning that I took from this.
Because you did this for Comic-Con, right?
Yeah. And it's like, I felt like I like unlocked something. I was like, brilliant. And it was like, and I got the idea because I had a player who ran a one-shot, and it was like a Halloween-themed one-shot. We were all just like goofing off. But the DM, was like, I gotta be to sleep at this time because I got shit to do in the morning. So this is a Halloween one-shot, and it takes place in 4 hours, whether you are ready or not. Like, no matter what, certain things happen. And like, interestingly enough, it like there's a way you can do that, and I feel like I figured it out a little bit, where like it doesn't feel like railroading. It actually opposite. It feels like the world is moving because it's like you have this interesting aspect in D&D where like the whole world is just what the players can see, right? It's like everything around them.
Yeah.
But when you introduce real life time constraints onto the one shot, which is what I did at Comic-Con, I was like, okay, at the 30-minute mark, right? I feel like this isn't too big of a spoiler, but like at the 30-minute mark, the governor gave her speech.
Right.
Didn't matter where you were. Didn't matter what you were doing. You were going to hear it because it was magically amplified, and I knew you were in the area.
Yeah.
So you guys, like, you were going to hear it. I was just like, but where are they is the interesting question.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, you have these things, and it's like, that just means that the world is organic and moving. And, like, you know, those things adjust based on what you guys do, of course. I'm like, okay, well, that might move this up or down based on what the players do. So it's like almost these like definitive points, and then they slide. Yeah. But like you still have that as like a framework,
it's like guidepost.
For like, you know, like, okay, like, and then at this many minutes, because I know we need this much time to resolve. Yeah. Right. This thing happens. Right. And it kind of is the ripcord that you spoke of, which is like, you know, and then they get to determine the resolve is just like, okay, how the players respond. Like that's the fun. Is like cool, and it's honestly it's in a way it's no different than DMing a regular session. It's just like a new framework to look at it at, because like as a DM a lot of times you're
doing
waiting,
that anyway.
Yeah, you're kind of waiting for like the most dramatic moment maybe to introduce something, right? Right. Where it's like, okay, this is a good time for the door to get kicked in, or this is a good time for something to blow up because there's tension. Yeah. And you're looking for that release, that counterpoint to it. So like with time limits, it's just that. And in a way, like to me as a player, it actually made the world feel like more alive. Yeah. Because I was like, oh, like we can affect things, but like things are moving independently of us. And that's fascinating. Yeah. Because like we're sitting here doing this, but like outside people are doing other shit.
Stuff is moving.
You know what I mean? Like if an explosion happened outside, which, you know, well, like we would respond, but like that doesn't care about our schedule necessarily. No. You know what I mean?
It's like playing one of those like, time loop games where like you have to actually start to like figure out when things happen in order to like interact with them effectively, right? It's that kind of thing of like the world's gonna move, so you gotta like go to the store when it's fucking open, you know, like, that kind of thing.
Show up and it'll open for you,
right?
You know, despite some people's belief that maybe that's how the
world
works.
Happen like that. Yeah. That's certainly like. And it's interesting that you just described that. That was what I was going to ask you, is like how rigid you were about like at 30 minutes this happens, no matter, like I'll interrupt whoever's talking. But clearly that wasn't what happened because it moved very organically.
Yeah, there's flex there, right? But it just gave me like these really concrete guideposts. And then also like it was just things to keep the story moving. So it was like if you guys were having a really fun moment and like joking around, great. Like that's fun. Yeah. But now I get to introduce this other element that like, hey, this is gonna happen, right? Because like for instance, like one of your like, well, shoot, I don't know when this is gonna.
It'll all come out before.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah,
This will come
no
out before that.
spoilers.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
No
yeah,
spoilers.
yeah.
But like, you guys had a plan.
Yeah.
And like, I was like, interesting. I wonder if they'll enact that before or after
Yeah.
a thing.
Yeah.
And then like the thing happened, and then you guys like, wait, we don't need to do that anymore because it kind of already happened. And so it was interesting that I hope maybe that's not. I don't think that's spoilers.
I think it's okay.
But
yeah,
we could get away with that. Maybe.
Yeah.
But it was just interesting that it like, and I was like, that was at this particular point, but like. If you guys would have done your thing before, that would have gone out the window.
Yeah.
And then it would have just moved to the next thing, right? Be like, oh, interesting. How are they gonna navigate now the in-between space between this thing that was supposed to happen that I just removed because they did that, right?
Yeah.
Or a version of that.
Yeah.
And then now it becomes kind of an interesting like exercising continual problem solving in a way. But I never try to get too attached to anything, but I will say there are very particular circumstances, right? Running a some shot at like a convention being one of those circumstances where I'm, like you mentioned something earlier that I wanted to touch on, and it was like, there's a weird dichotomy between what like, it is weird that in a place where you want the players to carry it the most, you as the DM have to actually end up doing a lot of talking, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, it's a, I don't know how to even like describe, like you expand on that a little bit if you would, because like you brought it up and I'm curious to hear like your thoughts on it before I say anything.
Sure. I think it's like, it's one of those big challenges because I hate very much the idea that I am like forcing anything on the players, that I'm imposing. Like, I mean, it is your job to impose the world on the players,
course, yeah.
but it's also like your goal to make the world feel accessible, interactable, and changeable by the players, right? You don't want anything to feel like a foregone conclusion.
Right.
You want everything to feel organic. But then when you're in this time constraint, especially when you're trying to do what we're doing at these cons where we're like, we want it to feel like a whole ass thing has happened. With Gen Con, I was like, it's the movie at the end of the series. It's Serenity at the end of this first season of Firefly, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, I want it to be like, we all know and love these characters and now they're doing one big thing, right? And to do that, you do have to like, kind of every now and then be like, and now I'm gonna grind over to this thing. Like I'm just gonna yank the camera
you
over.
kind of gotta muscle it a little bit. And like it's interesting because like I think that one thing I would say is like maybe a practical tip or piece of advice out there to people is like, that's okay.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like it is part of the nature of the thing. You know what I mean? And like, I think we had discussions before these cons, right? Where I was like, hey, I might have to muscle you guys a little more than I normally
100%.
would
100%.
because we as a group, right, agree. We're all trying to tell the best story we can.
Yeah.
And I as the DM know where we're trying to get to and you guys don't. And so like, I might have to kind of like, or
the best players are sensitive to that.
Yes.
And are like actively looking. This is the thing I like want to bring up every one of these. I think I brought it up last episode too. But
as
it's
you
like,
should.
Players should always be kind of feeling for what the DM's trying to accomplish, and like find the way that your character can be on board with that.
Yes.
Like going toward that goal. You know?
Like I know that the light may not be. You know what I mean? Like yes, go towards the light. Go towards the thing. Like, pull the lever.
Pull the lever.
Because it's like the and that
we didn't come here to knit.
Yeah, right.
You know,
exactly.
Like
we're here to do some crazy shit.
Yeah.
Like we didn't come here to like poke and prod, and this ain't no discovery mission. We're here to get shit done. You know what I mean? Like we gotta find out what the fuck is going on.
We're Indiana Jones. We gotta take even though we know it's booby trap, we gotta take the idol off of the thing.
And we'll deal with the rolling boulder.
And that'll be the most fun part of the session. Right?
Absolutely.
So you just gotta like activate the trap card.
Yeah. And it's like, and that's in like that works best, right? When you know you have a DM who is like not out to fuck you. Right. But is out to like tell an interesting story. And that like it's a very nebulous thing, but like I'm not trying to kill you guys, but I am putting you in a world where it's possible you might die.
Right.
But then that though, like if it's not forced and it's just a thing that happens organically and it just works that way, then like, and it feels earned and it feels like it's a result of the verisimilitude and the intention versus like an arbitrary thing that I did to you. Yeah. Right. Like that feels good. That feels fine. Right. You know what I mean? Like I've had characters where I was like, if they die in this, doing this, I'm like,
it's great.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's amazing.
Right.
Like perfect. You know what I mean? Because it like of course they would make their last stand here. You know what I mean?
Right.
Of course they would do this thing here. Like,
Yeah.
It feels good in a way. It feels like a resolution. It feels earned.
Yeah.
And so, you know, anyway, to haul myself back into gear here.
Yeah.
In these situations, right, you do have that additional constraint, and like again, it all boils down to like the communication at the table.
100%.
Like, hey guys, we're
Letting
trying to
people
tell
know.
the story. You know what I mean? But you know, like, so yes, I may cut you off, or I may speed things along, or
Yeah.
I may step on a moment a little bit if I have to.
Yeah.
You know, just in the interest of getting us to where I know we need to get to.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then like once you get there, then it's like, okay, now it's all you guys. Now it's all you,
100%.
right? Like I got us to the edge of the cliff. Now I'm
And
gonna push
now-
you over, and you guys get to determine.
You guys
where
can
you fall.
jump off, you can trip off, or you can like climb down with a rope ladder.
Yeah.
But we just gotta get
I
to the
gotta
cliff.
get you
Let me get
there.
you to the cliff. Yeah.
And like to the, you know, this was again like maybe it is like the of all the 3 now cons that I've ran, I felt the not goodest about this one, because I was like, fuck, I didn't get us to the edge of the cliff in time, because I spent too much time doing some things. And then I think I also, if I remember right in this session, there was a period of time where I kind of like let you guys putter around too much.
Right.
I didn't give you guys I didn't do the thing where
Right.
I was like, there's nothing here, fucking move on.
Fucking
You know what
go,
I mean?
yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
fulfill my end of that really,
Yeah.
where it's like I could see you guys were looking for it, and again it was from that place. It's interesting because it comes from that place of like, ooh, but I don't want
to impose.
I want to see what they
Well,
want.
and that's the thing too, is like as a player watching it back, I'm like mad at myself for not like going like for not reading what you were communicating, which is, guys, there's fucking nothing here. And instead I was like doing my little shtick in my character, you know what I mean?
I loved it.
And but it's one of those things,
Yeah.
right, where it's like sometimes and that's the thing where we've talked about it can be difficult to like use to break away from the thing and go, hey, can we go above table and be like, is this the right thing we're doing?
Yeah.
Because sometimes you're just so engaged with the form of the thing where you're
Yeah.
just like, but I'm having fun exploring nothing.
Yeah, which I mean that's
You
half
know?
of D&D. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like
yeah.
there are times, and I will keep these times to myself because that is one of my DM secrets that it's just for me.
Please, yeah.
There are times in this in Venture Forth campaign
Yeah.
1 where you guys went down a route
Yeah.
I did not intend for you to go down, and there was never anything for you to find there, and I made up a thing on the spot that you could find because I was like, this is interesting and fun.
Yeah.
And I can make a case that a thing would be there.
Right.
Right? Like and it results in some funny, interesting moments. It's like, does it add time? Yes. And so that's the thing, right? Maybe that's the distinction. Is in a longer form campaign, you can do that all
You
you
have
want,
time
right? You
for
have
it.
time. Like
Yeah.
I will say there was one, right? In Sacred Octagon, in the transmutation floor, there was like the vial stuck under the big rock, and there was like the thing with scribbles and the like thing to get in there, and like I had never determined that there was anything there to see, but somebody like looked around, and I was just like, yeah, actually there would be. I was like, and I knew I wanted there to be like dead people in there because it all happened. It was a catastrophe.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, I came up with that kind of on the spot, and it added a bunch of time to the episode, because it was like a thing that you guys explored. But in my head, it actually ended up being some really interesting character like interactions, and I liked that it set the tone for the floor in a way that to me was interesting. And you guys started postulating about where you were and why, and it led you guys to the conclusion, I think, that you were on like that each of these was like a themed floor, and you guys like that's what made it click. And so like there are times where you're allowed to do that. But in these moments, I don't think you can indulge that impulse as much, right?
And you have to
can't.
kind of turn that part of your brain off. That's like, which is hard because that is like the yes-anding thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it can be, or you just have to kind of like wrangle it, I guess, right? Like, that is and the same thing as a player where you have to go like, I'm not gonna ask like if I was something that I said to the K2 people is I was like, if there's something that I described that you don't completely understand, like, just move on. It probably won't be relevant. You know what I mean? Like don't ask about how many levers there are on the like wall console because it's just not gonna matter. And like we gotta move. So it's like, and that's a hard thing to do because you want your players to be able to ask whatever question they want, because it does often lead to like, you know what? I didn't think about that there would be 3 levers over there, and you could use one of them to do this thing that now becomes the thrust of how you defeat the villain at the end. You know, like that's like part of the fun of D&D. But when you have this like time constraint, right. You do have to
you kind of can't indulge that as often.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to do
Mm.
because I think by nature to be a GM, you kind of have to be in a way like generous in that respect. You
Yeah.
have to want to engage with that and want to kind of like provide wins. Like, don't get me wrong. There's some times where I'm just like, there's nothing.
There's
there.
nothing.
And I'm like, you know what I mean? And I'm like,
For fuck's sake,
no,
there's nothing.
There's nothing there.
The worst
It doesn't
for me
matter.
is when I've presented my grand design, my big trap, my big like thing, and then people are like, "Is there a way I can go around it?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah, but you can't because it's not going to be fun."
Yeah,
Like-
right.
Like, I want you to go through it.
Yeah,
like,
unless
please.
there's like a very interesting and fun,
Way
like
to circumvent
way
it.
to circumvent it, right? Like a good example, I feel like of an area where there was a trap. But here's the thing, interestingly enough, this is not the same thing because now I'm realizing like you guys engaged with it. You did the thing immediately, right? Which was the enchantment floor in the Sacred Octagon, the room with the broken feet. You guys were like looking.
Yeah.
And then Russ did the warding wind.
Yeah.
But that was a reaction to engaging with the trap. It wasn't like, oh, let's turn around and find another way. It was,
100%.
we got to get across here.
Yeah.
And so you guys committed and you went. And then, and it's like interesting because it's like as a player, right? That's the joy of being a DM and having amazing players is you get players who are just going to be like, yep, cool, got it.
Right.
Assignment understood.
Got it. Yeah.
We know you're not here to fuck us. You're here to provide an interesting challenge that may or may not change the game, right?
Right.
And then like as a result of you guys interacting with it, right? And like if you've got a good relationship with your DMs and your players, you guys did the thing. You bought into my premise. I can then buy into your cheeky way of getting out of it.
Right.
I'm like, oh, that's awesome. I didn't even think about that. That's super fun. Yes, you can
Yeah.
cast Warning Wind and deafen yourselves and not hear the music.
Right.
That would have enchanted you to dance.
Right.
Right. Like that to me is a good example of like, and like in your example, right? It's like not going around it, but like, can we get into the middle of it, trigger it, and then find a creative way to get past it that maybe you didn't think of?
Yeah.
That's a different scenario. Those are two different scenarios.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like that's a clear distinction to me anyway.
Yeah, well, it's what's interesting to me about that, and this is what I am excited for this format to be about because I think there's a lot of degrees of nuance in this discussion.
Yeah.
But like in that moment,
Yeah.
right? I was frustrated with Russell because I was like, I wanted to have to dance. You know what I mean? I was like
interesting.
waiting to use silence because
Yeah.
I was like,
Oh, 'cause you had that,
I was in my DM brain going,
Yeah.
oh, I want to engage with it more
Interesting.
before we defeat it.
Yeah.
But of course, it was a brilliant move, and it did cost him a spell slot.
Yeah.
Right. So resource expended, time expended. Right.
Yeah.
Like it was an event.
Yes.
It really was. It was
Yeah.
super visual too, and we
Yeah.
were all yelling within the field,
Right.
trying to
Dust
communicate.
swirling up around you guys.
And as
Bones
music
probably.
is playing that we're not quite hearing, buffeted by the storm.
I
you know?
do wish, here's what I would have wished.
Yeah.
I wished, like, if I could give a note to myself,
Yeah.
it would have been, I would have made you make the save at advantage, though.
Uh-huh.
Right? Like, you
Right.
hear the beginnings
It's
of it.
still penetrating, but not as powerfully.
But I like, that is one wish for me, right, as a DM. I was like, oh, I should have rewarded that resource
Yes.
expenditure and that quick
Right.
thinking.
Yeah.
But still kind of allowed for the opportunity for you guys to, like, make the save, engage with the trap,
Yeah.
maybe fail.
And don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
I would have been upset if I failed to save and had
Yeah,
to, you
of
know what I
course.
mean? Like I would have been like, ah, damn it. Like,
Yeah,
you know?
of course.
But it's like there's a part of me that's always as a player going like, I'm gonna let it hit me before I try
Yeah.
to circumvent it.
Yeah.
You know, and that's just a way that Russell and I are different as players,
Right,
which is
right.
like also a fun thing about
Yeah,
D&D.
Well,
that
I mean, I
everybody's coming at it
remember I was
differently.
like, I said, you guys hear music start to go. And I think if I remember right, Russ was like, can I do something?
Yeah,
And
right,
I
right.
could have been like, nope.
No.
Like,
yeah,
make a
this
saving
all
throw,
happens
right?
before you're able to.
Before you're able to. And so like that's an interesting thing. And again, no one ever gets it 100% right all the time. Like I wish I would have been like, yes.
And you might have different regrets, right?
Uh-huh.
Like that's the other thing too.
Yeah.
But go on, sorry.
No.
I
I just like to your point, right? Like it's interesting that you, right? Like, and that's just to the point, right? Of like, this game is there's always going to be those little moments of friction, right?
Yeah.
And that's awesome. Like
Right.
it means that everybody's looking for slightly different things. The version of perfect events I think we said this in one episode. I
Yeah,
don't remember. I was
there's
like, everybody's
7
version of
different
perfect
versions, at the
is
table.
there's 7 different versions at the table. Because
Yeah.
like my version of perfect was you all failed and you all had to dance, and then I get to go, it's been an hour.
Right.
And you guys were like, what? And I'm like, yep, that was an hour of time because you guys have been enchanted by melody music.
Yeah.
Now you can repeat the save.
Right.
And then like someone probably would have made it because you guys are very high level.
Yeah.
And now it's like, fuck, we're on an in-game time constraint because that was the opposite.
That was the other thing.
We're on an in-game
yeah.
time constraint, not a real life time constraint, but an in-game time constraint. And we just lost a freaking hour.
Right.
Right. Because of this thing. So like that would have been maybe my perfect version of events. Right.
Right.
Because I would have gotten to like, and then see how you guys responded. And that would have been a huge domino effect that affected a lot of things later.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's,
Yeah.
oh geez, I don't even remember where we were.
No
but
worries. No worries. One thing I
Time constraints.
wanted to say about it, one of my guiding principles for Gen Con, so like I wrote out kind of like my nodes. That's usually how I start when I'm preparing a session.
interesting. Yeah,
is
yeah,
I go
yeah.
like, what are the nodes of the thing?
I
What
love
are the
that.
like different kind of like main events that are gonna happen? Potentially,
Yeah.
right? And then sometimes it's a tree. So there's like an initial node and there's like a middle node and then there's a bunch of different branches, right?
Yeah, it's like a flow chart, honestly.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
hey, if this, then this.
Right, exactly. Just so I have sort of a framework of like what I might prepare and what I would like to be prepared for, because I'm a prep DM.
Same.
But the guiding principle for me after I did that initial phase was like, where can I insert agency for the players?
Yeah.
Because I could feel, because I had that concern about over scripting and over manufacturing the different things. And so like I made sure that every person's, and I think it's okay for me to say at Gen Con, there's a series of sort of vignettes where it was more like individual character
Awesome.
moments.
Yeah, they were awesome.
It was super fun.
was
And you guys
awesome.
were also fucking fantastic. But in each one of those, I was like, I need to make sure that the player gets to like make a decision about what happens. And like, there's one of them, I'll just allude to it, but it's not a situation that should happen. And I was like, really, and it like came to me. Oh man, I wish I could talk about it. It's a shame. But to me, it was like the fact that I had to do that to like add the moment for the player to interact with it made the like pain of it more profound. Like I was like, it like makes it so much richer too. So it is just like, that's the balance the razor's edge you're walking at all these times is like, okay, I have this framework, I gotta hit these marks. And then it's like when you can go through each moment and kind of be like, where are the players getting to choose what happens?
Yeah.
Where are they gonna feel like they have some ownership of what's going on? That's just gonna enrich things for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you know, I want to kind of build off that because, so this is an interesting thing, right? In this, at the WonderCon one shot.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't willing to like sacrifice a little bit of agency for you guys in the middle.
Yeah.
I lost you guys a lot at the end.
Sure.
And that's like my biggest regret is because like if I would have just muscled you guys a little bit more during the beginning and the middle, we would have gotten a much richer ending because we didn't have the time. I didn't give us enough time to really like settle in the profundity. Right?
Yeah.
Profundity of these people and their sacrifice.
Right.
And that really irks me. And it was like, it's a huge regret is I'm like, God damn it. So it's interesting, right? Because like, in so many respects, you want to insert this agency.
Yeah.
And that is always the goal. But like, sometimes you can do that in a place.
You gotta
and
pick your battles.
Yeah, you kind of like, I borrowed from, I didn't, what's that word? Like I borrowed from now or from tomorrow to fill now when now is much less important.
Yeah.
Right? Like I so wish that I would have exercised a little bit of DM privilege and been like, fucking go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To push you guys along and given us 5 more minutes or 10 more minutes at the end.
Yeah.
So that you guys could then really bask in that agency and really fill out the beats of this ending scene because it kind of, you just each got like a quick little moment.
That's what I feel guilty because I went first, so I kind of like overdid it, and then everybody else suffered for it.
No.
Like,
but that wasn't your, you know what I mean? You took the time that you just were due.
I was trying to figure out.
I am the one who's ultimately responsible for that feeling that way because like I didn't again like exercise the my obligation in a way, which is to like keep it moving,
Yeah.
right? Not let the players, especially in this time constrained world, right?
Yeah.
This thing that we have.
Yeah.
I didn't exercise my duty and fulfill my side of the bargain to push you guys along to the edge of that cliff
Right.
in time.
Right.
It had to be rushed at the end. And so
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck. Like, it makes me really upset.
I mean, it makes it all the more like rug pull when you say like, how are you going to spend your last moments or whatever. Yeah. So there is like, that is one of the like live elements of it, which is fun. I think there's a salience to that that I think is like gained by it being such a sudden turn. And it is cool because it's not an unwarranted turn because we just watched Yendelin, my guy with the Y names, Yendelin go down.
Yeah.
So it's like, shit just pivoted, right? In a big way. We took a bunch of chain lightning damage, and like, I mean, I didn't.
Yeah.
I felt this like unkillable
fucking
character.
rogues.
That's like rogue blade singer 29 armor class or whatever.
Right, and I told you guys, I was like, hey, if there was ever a time to build the monster, you know, the crazy multi-class ultimate soldier, super soldier, like this is the one shot. So go. I was like, go ape shit. I'm still gonna try real hard to fuck you up, but sorry, I interrupted.
No,
you
you're
though.
totally fine. Yeah. So I don't even remember what I was ultimately gonna say, but it just as like, I think also too, like, you don't know how rigid the thing is going to end up being. I think WonderCon was like way more rigid than, it's funny because we had 2.5 hours for Gen Con and I only used 2 hours because I was like so concerned about time. Yeah. And then even I remember like we had nobody after us until 6 or something like that. We could have just gone on and on. You know what I mean? But it was like, no, I'm good. Like that's
we told
what
the
I had
story,
ready.
right?
And like, really feeling that.
And it was great. Like I loved Gen Con. I loved the Sunshine. I feel like we told a really concise story and we left the door wide open, right? It's like, wow. Whoa, in a big way, right?
Big stuff,
like, it's like, whoa, what are we doing?
Oh my God.
So, and it had huge implications for the world. And, and one of my, well, I don't know. Yeah, never mind. I won't say it because I don't know if it's a spoiler or not. But, you know, it's, well, I don't think it's a spoiler because we've announced KTU, right? Like, I mean, we don't know exactly when it's going to happen.
KTU is happening.
Yeah, it's happening.
A second round.
Yeah, we've said that was going to happen.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, shit.
We did. No,
good.
We did.
I was like, oh, my God.
No. It's official.
So it's official. And I think it's really fun that, like, the campaign 1 ends on, you know, whatever, the day of the convergence. Yeah. That's when it ends, basically. We did the epilogue, but now we get to explore the pretty immediate aftermath with the KTU crew. Yeah. Which is really fun.
Isn't that crazy?
Like, I love that, though. You know what I mean? It's like,
wild,
and like, what a cool, like, kind of interesting, like, baton passing, right? To kind of reference our other, like, co-DMing is like, hey, the immediate time afterwards, now I'm like, hey, man, that's all you, boo. Yeah. Like, you get to figure out, like, what happens. Like, what does it look like? What's in the world? What's going on?
I don't know, Seth.
I'm figuring it out.
I gotta think about it.
But, like, that's really fun. And so, you know, all of that to say that you end up with these really interesting... in that situation, right, you end up with these really fun things. And now, like, you know, with that time constraint, you told the story we wanted to tell. And now we get to pick it up in a place where it's not as constrained, for sure. You know what I mean? And that's what's kind of interesting. And, you know, I guess to put a final maybe button on it, and then I think we got to get Rebecca in here. Yeah. You know, I, of course, have a lot of, like, regret. Not a lot, but I have my wishes, right? And the way that I wish I would have done this. And I wish I would have given you guys 10 more minutes. Sure. Right. Or even more. I wish we would have, like, had some time to, like, really get into the nitty gritty of the combat and feel that shift. Because, like, I designed that combat to be, I mean, there was a chance. Don't get me wrong.
Maru.
You know, it was kind of the Kobayashi Maru because that was the story. Like, these people were betrayed and put into an unwinnable situation.
Totally, yeah.
And, like, who knows, you know, but if we would have had more time, we might have actually been able to explore, like, well, did somebody make it out? Did some, you know what? Right. Anyway, there were a lot of possibilities, but, like, because I didn't do the thing early, I borrowed from tomorrow to make room for today, and then it ended up not landing the way that I wish I would have landed it. So that's to say, like, don't be too afraid in these time-constrained instances, right? To, like, it's better to get to the end and have 30 minutes that you don't need.
Right.
In the time constrained
100%.
version of when we're talking about running with a time constraint.
Yeah.
It is better to do that. It
Yeah.
is better to exert that DM kind of oversight. It is better to strong arm it a little bit, in my opinion. Honestly.
I think so too.
You know, and
I would
move the story along.
We on like MCOR, we got one of the like only comments we got in the beginning was like a paragraph long about how I had railroaded.
Oh, well, fuck.
And
that.
but it like hurt me.
Yeah, of course.
Because I was just like, that is my greatest, like, I hate that feeling as a player.
Right,
so I was
yeah.
like, I hope that, and I already knew, like, none of the players had said that they had felt that way. So it wasn't that, but it was just like, I really don't want that to be the thing that people leave with,
Yeah.
But that's besides the point. I ultimately
Yeah.
agree with you, right? Like,
And it's interesting because everybody has a different threshold for
Right.
railroading too,
Right.
right? And it all boils down to that thing, right? 7 different versions of what perfect looks like. So
get in here, Rebecca!
yeah, right on time.
No,
Nope, you're good.
Sure.
Yeah,
You're fine.
Okay.
excellent.
If you did, it's fine. You're good.
I'm kind of in it still.
That's all right.
Where's your head?
Lounging.
There you
I can
go.
barely see your fingertips, so
There
you're
you
good.
go. You're good. This is so good.
Hello.
Hello. Why, hello there, Rebecca.
Hello there.
So for
Why, hello
I wish
there.
the fans at home could see
I
what
know,
you see
right?
right now.
Rebecca languidly relaxing on
Yeah.
the shag carpet. So we got these dumb flags.
They're amazing.
Because we decided for this it'd be really fun if while Rebecca's reading, Seth and I could hold up green flags
Or red
red
flag.
flags,
Yeah.
depending on what we're hearing.
Well, it was a very organic moment that happened. One of the first ones, both Shane and I, when Rebecca read a thing, we both went, and we like raised a hand as if to say like, that's
I
weird.
don't like that.
Like, yeah, and it was just like and we both like noticed it and each other do it, and we were like, oh, wouldn't that be so funny if we had flags to like raise during the initial reading to be like, that's a good sign, a bad sign, bad sign, good sign, bad sign. So anyway, that's what these are for, and it was just so organic that we both did it at the same time as an unconscious gesture, subconscious.
Here we go.
All right.
This is a D&D horror story.
Oh, boy.
D&D Horror Story. Ba, ba, ba.
Welcome to the segment,
It's called the 3-session one-shot.
otherwise known as a sum shot.
Well, I don't
This-
think that was the
apparently
intention.
that was not the
I
intention,
don't think
right?
that was the intention, but we shall
Let's
see.
hear about it.
Okay, this is from a player.
Oh, player.
Just because you're over by it.
This is from a player. Yeah. This is the story of my experience at a D&D club at my school. Not only did the supposed one-shot last 3 sessions, the DM was very unfair to players. Do keep in mind this is a new DM, but the whole world is completely homebrewed along with the adventure. Not to mention that the club had upwards of 10 players. Here's the cast.
Wait, 10 players?
In the club, I don't know if all of them were at the same table.
Oh, okay.
It's unclear so far. So far.
Exonerating green flag.
We do not know yet, though.
Oh.
I read this a couple weeks ago, so I don't remember.
All
There you
right,
go,
I'm
all
here
right.
for it, man.
Me, he, him, DM. Me, he, him. DM, she, her. Jason, he, him, my friend who was in the game. We don't know if Jason's the real name, but
Okay.
They wrote it
Jason,
on the
you're
internet.
on blast,
Yeah.
buddy. Don't know
at
what to
my
tell
school,
you.
at my school, joined the D&D club. It seemed innocent and normal at first. Kids of all classes getting together at one table for a nice, calm session 0. How ignorant I was. I had asked in advance the rules for making my character and had gotten no response, so I took matters into my own hands and worked 3 hours to make a fun, compelling character. I didn't know the rules the DM was going with, so I did everything, including inventory and encumbrance. I had rolled for my stats and had a nice and strong Goliath barbarian. The day of session 0 rolls around, and I immediately am told to remake my character sheet. Why? Because since I had rolled for stats, what I think most people do, I had to make a new character using standard array. I'm not too annoyed by this, though. It was my bad, and I probably should have waited for session 0 to make my character. I got lost. I whipped out a character sheet that I brought just in case, and DM handed me her special homebrew sheets, which would have looked pretty cool if she had not printed them on yellow paper. I took the sheet anyway and made a character. I asked how to determine my stats, and the DM told me to use standard array. I don't know about you, but I always thought standard array was universally hated stat method. Anyways, I finished up my character before the other players did. I decided to look around and see what characters the others were playing. We had a goblin artificer with a speech impediment, an orc barbarian, a tiefling rogue, and I was confused when I saw one of the sheets. Everyone else was level 1, but one of the paladin players had a level in warlock as well, almost certainly hexblade. I told the DM that I was confused why the one player was level 2. Her response: "He is level 2 because I trust him more." Whoop, whoop, whoop! Alert, alert! Favoritism alarm activated.
I love how they're providing their own commentary.
The editorializing is...
Oh, that's all in capitalized
yeah.
letters as well.
No, I got it from your delivery.
Oh, I appreciate that. I tried to tell her that it shouldn't be about trust and that all players should be on an equal footing no matter what.
Ugh.
This kind of demoralized me, so went to the president of the club and told them my concerns. They completely understood and told me that they would talk to the DM about this. As far as I know, problem solved. I was still annoyed though, so I spread the word to this to my friends through not subtle methods. The one-shot soon rolled around and I was optimistic for a fun game. I'm always DM with my friends, so it would be nice to have a day to be a player. Anyway, we sat around the table for 15 minutes trying to get the high school-aged players to calm down and let the DM set the scene. We started in DM's beloved homebrew world, letting her drop lore on us like rain in a thunderstorm. We spent the entire session role-playing, which many people enjoy, but as a loyal barbarian boy, I was just sitting around waiting for something to appear that I could fight. Something DM did that I wasn't fond of is making a part of the adventure that would force us to split the party. Splitting the party is ill-advised for a reason. The part that is doing something is having fun, while the others are just sitting there. Not to mention that the roleplay parts were excruciatingly boring in their own right. We were trying to solve a puzzle when the game ended. It was kind of wired. It was kind of a wired to end. Wired? Weird. They did not spell weird.
No, I got that.
It was kind of weird to end a one-shot like that, but then the DM said something that confused me to a great degree. Next week, we will finish the one-shot. Wait a minute, am I having a stroke? Aren't one-shots supposed to be a single session?
Oh, brother, this guy stinks.
I guess DM underestimated how slow the group would move through the game, and at this point, I was not feeling this type of game very much. I wanted an excuse to run a module, so that I asked the president for my own table to run a game. Session 2. We were able to start the game sooner than last time because the players were able to get their crap together quickly. We started where we left off, the puzzle. I eventually was the one to solve the puzzle, which felt good, but the puzzle wasn't solved by critical thinking. It was solved by the roll of an investigation check. Not to mention that it was poorly designed due to not explaining the information well enough. Regardless, the clue led us to a cave that supposedly harbored bandits. The centaur tried to enter the cave but fell, and because they entered last, they were falling towards the group. One of the players got trampled until it got to me. I was able to stop the centaur from falling with a good athletics check, but the person who got hit fell subject to a horrible homebrew rule. The character broke a bone due to being trampled like that, giving them disadvantage on basically everything. Partnering that with the fragile level 1 characters, you can see how that can be very bad. We got deeper into the cave and ended up finding a hill giant. Hill giants are CR 5. Our party is all level 1. I went in to fight it, and I got a couple of solid hits in before falling. Yes?
No, go on.
No, we're just
doing our own thing.
I went in to fight it and got a couple solid hits in before falling back to throw some hand axes. I rolled a natural 1. To those who don't know, critical fumbles are not a real rule. They are just so popular of a homebrew rule that they are treated as official. DM wanted to use that rule. I made a comment about it during the moment. Something along the lines of, "What? Critical fumbles? I didn't know we were doing that." DM flipped from content to frustrated in a second. She responded, "If you don't like how I DM, you can just leave." I didn't leave. And she was fine after that. But her tone just struck a nerve. The rest of the session was fine. My request for my own game was even granted. I decided to be the bigger man and messaged DM on Discord apologizing. I then got a text from my friend who will be called Jason. He said that after the session, DM was talking crap about me. And to think that I apologized to her. It doesn't really matter, though. The one-shot isn't done yet, and I'm running my own group now. The one-shot should end next session. But I will never play with that DM again.
Is that the end?
That's the end.
God.
Wow.
Thank the Lord.
Yeah, a lot to unpack in there. First of all, these are probably children.
It must
they're
be,
high
right?
school
Is it a
age,
high
right?
schooler? Yeah.
High schooler?
Well, OP says the high school kid, so I don't know if he's...
In which case, that's a big red flag. Like, why are you playing with... I mean, well, unless you're
Unless
DMing...
you're,
Unless you're like...
It's
I
like
don't
a-
understand
It does seem like
Yeah.
because he was like, we needed them to the high school age kids to cut their crap, and I don't know if he's like
College,
denigrating
or-
the high school people because but he is also high
Or
school,
if
he is not high school and he's
Yeah.
degrading them.
Tough to say without
it's
context.
Impossible to know.
It reads very childish.
It does.
So it's-
Everything here is like, I'm like, wow, this is some middle school drama.
Yeah. So it is like, that's the grain of salt, right? It's just like, you're a kid and you're just like kind of blathering on the internet, like go nuts, right?
Yeah.
Like practice your writing skills
I guess,
in your
yeah.
Reddit thread.
Your creative writing.
Yeah, good for him in that and maybe only that respect. There were a lot of other red flags. I mean, it's like one, like from the get, it's like, oh, I made a character without knowing the rules. It's like,
Well,
then
then
don't
that's
do
not
that.
a character.
Don't do that.
Then that
Like,
character doesn't exist.
as a DM, if I don't tell you the rules and you show up with a character that doesn't abide by my, I mean, the DM should have been like, oh, it's standard array, whatever,
right.
and like given him an answer at least.
Yeah.
And then if he showed up with a stat rolled character, then it's like, I told you it was standard array, not
Yeah.
rolled stats. You have to re-roll that. That's not the game I'm running, right?
Right.
So there's like a lot there.
Yeah.
The session 0, I was like, hey, green flag, session 0. They ran
Session
a
zero.
That's
Good
important.
to do a session 0. Yeah, it was weird too. Like he intimates that it's a first time DM.
And they're running. We
Unclear.
both
They've
red
got a
flagged.
Unclear.
whole homebrew
We
world.
both red flagged. I like. Maybe there are people out there who can do it. Maybe, but I'm a firm believer. I'm like, I'm sorry if you haven't run the game, don't do a homebrew world. Like, just
Yeah.
don't. It's so much. There is so much about the craft of DMing, and I could be wrong. Like, I know for a fact. Like, Matt Mercer started homebrewing in his own homebrew worlds.
Who's
He was
that?
probably dog shit at first. Like, I'm gonna be honest. Like, I was terrible as a DM.
Blasphemy.
Yeah, like he probably was. He was a kid and he was homebrewing
Yeah,
worlds, and
yeah.
that's fine, I guess. But like, I'm a firm believer. Like, if you're new to DMing, do an established setting.
Here's what I will
because-
say: you could do like a homebrew world that is like Faerun adjacent.
Yeah,
right.
or like
that's-
a town maybe.
Yeah, you
but-
make up a town to the east of Daggerfell.
Yeah.
and then you're good, right?
Sure,
like why not? Right?
Like, put your stamp on it. But like, if you're gonna be like, oh, this is a homebrew world with homebrew mechanics, and it's like,
homebrew
I'm sorry, you
deities
just
and-
don't know enough about the game to be messing with the mechanics yet. Like,
Yeah,
you just don't.
100%.
You're gonna screw it up. Play for a
100%.
while.
Yeah.
Then you got to know the rules before you know how you can break them.
I think that is kind of like a thing. It's very attractive to do because 5th edition especially is just like an engine that
So
you can
streamlined,
you
yeah.
can do whatever with it.
It's a
like,
great chassis. And
do
you
a
can kinda
D20
whatever.
test and then you add a number and then you got some shit happening, right?
Yeah.
Like that's a very like modular system. But
Agreed.
yeah, but you're 100% right that it's like once it's so much you can do so much cooler things once you understand how the system works.
Yeah. I'm a
With
pretty,
practice.
again, whatever. I'm not here to yuck anybody's yum. If you want to do it and your
I
players
am.
are on board.
I'm here to yuck your yum.
If your players are on board, sure. But like, I would strongly advise you to not do that.
Yeah.
Get a firm grasp of the rules. Learn how the lore exists in existing settings so that you have, some form of congruency. Granted, Forgotten Realms has been
It's
fucking,
a
it's a mess.
clusterfuck
But,
for
like,
sure.
At least you have
And
like this idea.
The
of it.
worst thing about it too is I don't feel that the wikis are sufficient. Like I don't
No.
feel like it's like the reason I have as good a grasp I do on the existing lore is because I read books when I was a child. Like
Yeah.
I read
The R.A. Salvatore
the R.A.
books,
Salvatore
right?
books,
Yeah.
and that's like the reason that I have as strong a handle as I do. And even then, I'm missing a ton of stuff.
Which is
you know
funny
what I mean?
because the R.A. Salvatore books are a huge point of reference for the wikis.
Yeah.
Like R.A. Salvatore
he
is
like
an
created
official
a
source.
ton of the lore.
Icewind
yeah.
Dale is like, that's R.A. Salvatore basically.
Like,
Like,
100%.
and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Greenwood, sure, I guess.
And
but,
like much of the Underdark and all that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like that is a.
But anyway,
Yeah.
like to get so yes, it's kind of a mess. But like, grab a Kobold Press setting, grab anywhere. But like,
Right.
do a little bit, even if it's just
run the
your
starter,
first, you know,
the starter
run the
kit
little starter
adventure.
session.
Do you think that that's what caused the sessions
No.
to run long?
No.
So
No,
that's
no, no.
so that's where let's get back to the
Yeah,
I think
task
I
at
think
hand.
so. The
because-
session I think obviously ran long because they split the party and they were doing a lot of role play, right?
Yep.
Which I don't think is a real problem for this setting,
Yeah.
right? Like nobody at this in this session was like mad about it except for this guy.
Sounds like, yeah.
I don't think,
Mhm.
right?
No, and it
the-
seems like he was just mad because he didn't like the way the DM
he
was
just
doing it.
wants
Like he
to
just
be
wants to be
DMing.
in charge.
He just wants to be in charge.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not. I doubt it. He's a very good DM because it sounds like he had serious main character syndrome as a player.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this guy's got a DM PC.
Yeah.
He's got like overpowered monsters. I don't even know. All kinds of things that I would expect from this young man.
Yeah.
I assume.
Yeah.
I assume that's his identity.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's like, you know, and again, right? It's funny because that was the obviously very salient topic. It is very difficult to run a time constrained one shot because and especially if you're a new DM, you've never done this before. Like
Mhm.
you've
And if they're high
no-
schoolers, potentially brand new players.
Yeah, brand new players. Like that is
Don't know what's possible.
you just like the premise is
Yeah.
like, just like don't run a one shot. I remember it was funny because it was a revelation to me. I heard a GM, it was Brandon Lee Mulligan. He's like, if you're a new
Is
GM,
that-
do not do a one shot.
Mm.
It's a terrible idea. Like it's the hardest thing to do
Yeah.
in D&D. He's like,
Yeah.
run a session.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter where it ends. Doesn't matter where you get to.
Yeah.
If you end on the puzzle, if you end walking down the road, who cares? But like, don't put that pressure on yourself.
100%,
Fuck,
yeah.
I've been doing this 7 years. I was freaking out up there. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, that's scary for anybody.
yeah,
I
it's
think.
scary, but like,
Yeah.
just bless your heart. Don't do that. Like,
Yeah.
just run a session and don't call it a one shot. Just be like, hey guys, I'm gonna run a D&D session, and that's
Right.
all it is. I'm making no commitment to any time. So that would be maybe an actionable piece of advice to anybody watching who wants to get into DMing.
Yeah.
I mean,
It can be hard, I think, because like for me, half the time that I play this game with people, it'd be me like trying to convince people to play. You know, and be
Yeah.
like, it won't take too much of your time. You know, so there's like
it's
this
kind
thing
of a
about like,
sales tactic for new
to be
people.
like, oh, we'll just do a one shot, you know,
Yeah.
and it's like once everybody's there,
Yeah.
everybody's having a great time, but it is hard to get people to like commit to a time, right?
Yeah, for
So
sure.
I think that is the challenge of that, but. You ideally want to be playing with people who are stoked to be there for however many sessions it'll take, right?
Mhm.
Within reason.
Yeah, I'm also, I guess, like, and again, like, I would ask so many clarifying questions. Like, well, if it's a D&D club, what's the problem with
Who
it going more
cares
than
with
one
it going
session?
long?
Like,
Except
the
unless
premise-
you have
Except
a
that he wanted to run his own. So
yeah,
it's annoying if it goes long because
also
he wants
like
to run a
going
module.
to the like higher up because they had a
Without
homebrew
first-
rule for critical fumbling, which I don't even really. Does that mean any? What does that even mean?
It
Like
just-
that you take damage when
there's
you
like
roll
a
a
roll.
one.
It can be anything. Like
Yeah.
there's tons of fumble roll tables out there. It can be up to the DM's discretion based on the thing. Like, a critical fumble on a thrown axe might be like it rebounds off the wall and hits somebody nearby. Like,
Yeah.
it could be anything. right?
Yeah, I think those are
But-
fun in situational moments. I
Right.
had a player who was like throwing a fireball at somebody who was in like line of sight with their party member, and they rolled that one, and so it hit the party member because it just makes sense.
Yeah.
You whiffed,
Yeah.
and it hit the other person.
Yeah, if
But
I
it's like-
shoot a linear object at a target and there's another target behind it and I fucking miss,
Where's
there's
it
a
gonna
chance.
go?
There's a pretty solid chance.
Yeah, so there's like that kind of stuff is just fun,
Yeah.
and also in the spirit of the game, I think is that. So it's such a weird issue to
There
take.
were a couple of like legitimate issues there and there. So if
Definitely.
you're reading this, if you're watching this and you're listening, there are a couple of legitimate complaints, right? Like not knowing about debilitating homebrew rules to your character, right? Like that's to me, I'm like, I will never
Of like breaking your leg
even
or
with,
whatever.
Even with all the trust that we have, when
Yeah.
I gave you the tattoo, I was like, it is up to you whether it stays or not.
Yeah.
Because like I'm not gonna disfigure or alter your character. That is up to you, unless we've talked about it extensively.
Yeah.
Right. That is a session 0 thing. Like, hey, like, are we playing with weird rules that are going to debilitate me in ways that are outside of the rule set?
Yeah.
Like, that's a need to know thing.
Yeah.
Because as a player, I'm like, well, what the fuck? I didn't know that if I got trampled, I was going to take damage and break a bone and be
Right.
basically fucked.
Hobbled.
Like,
yeah.
that sucks,
Yeah.
especially at level 1 when you're already hobbled.
You have 5 HP.
The hill giant, I'm like, and here's like big caveat.
Big
asterisk.
caveat. That's got an
We
asterisk
both were
for
like,
sure.
because it could have been if it was like this is presented as a non-combat scenario.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to fight it.
Right.
There's
or
room for
it's
that.
like, don't go here. There's a hill giant.
Yeah.
So go the other way.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's a whole other
you
thing
have to
too.
communicate, and then again, like that's where like above table comes into play, right? Is like, DM, are we supposed to fight that?
100%.
God no.
No,
You're just not supposed to go that way.
It's the creature with the skull symbol over top of it because you're not
Yeah.
high enough level yet. You know, it's
Yes.
that kind of thing.
So
right?
there's a place for that.
Yeah.
But like I would say like that's a
It could have also been a
beige-
modified hill giant, right? Like we
Yeah.
don't know what was
could have
happening
been
behind
wounded,
the screen.
poisoned,
Yeah,
right?
or
But
just debuffed, right?
Yeah,
You
debuffed.
can take any.
if that was
CR,
a full
I mean,
health hill giant and you were supposed to fight it, then 100% green
That's a
red
problem.
flag.
That's
right?
a
That is
problem, yeah.
a bad decision on behalf of that DM. You
Yeah.
don't throw a hill giant at a level 1 party full health and expect them to fight it. That's
Yeah.
a-
Also, having a one player have a level bump over everybody else for no
apparent reason. Yeah.
Yeah.
Red
I don't
flag.
like trust this narrator.
Yeah, unreliable
but I
narrator.
am like, yeah. There's no reason to ever have a
If
level
those things are all true, right?
Yeah.
Then yes, those are all things to
And-
be. Those are reasonable things to be upset about.
I have had so like when I DM for my family at Christmas, I had some of them had pre-existing characters
Yeah.
from when we had played before, and other people had brand new characters, and so I let them use their slightly more powerful characters. And because like my brother and my parents had never really played much, my parents had played before, but only the one time. I think they did bring back their characters.
They did.
They
Oh,
did.
that's adorable.
And my brother, but like. I wanted the people who were first timers to not be overwhelmed. So I was
Right.
like, "You're starting at level 1, even though there's other people," and I just balanced around that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So there
That's
are
an experienced DM thing.
exactly, yeah,
Yeah.
That's
You're
like
an
a thing
experienced
where
DM,
you're
not a first time DM who's like
Mhm.
arbitrarily
It's
you're level
also
2.
for your family, just to have
Yes.
like a little
Yes.
holiday.
context matters a
romp,
lot.
yeah.
Yeah.
And nobody, they also are
'Cause the thing
not
with
joining
the
a
club
D&D club.
is it has kind of
to-
that AL like umbrella to it, where it's
Yeah.
like you're trying to make something that's kind of a standardized experience, which is why standard array makes sense.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And I'm such a like champion of standard array. I actually
yeah.
love standard array because I feel like it inherently puts you in a spot where you cannot be good at everything.
Yes.
And it's like rolled stats. That's super fun because you get to be really fucking strong.
Yeah.
And it means you can like you can like take feats pretty like freely because you don't feel like you have to get the stat bump in order
Yeah.
to like be a strong character.
Mhm.
But standard array just like ensures that certain like pillars of play are at work, and
Yeah.
like especially with new players
Yeah.
or players that you don't know how experienced they
Yeah.
are, it's a really great way to just like nip that in
Absolutely.
the bud, not have to
Yeah.
deal with it. And or if you're not sure if people are gonna like game their stats and
Yeah.
like roll multiple times to try
Which
and make
it
sure.
does feel like this person probably
would
did.
do that.
Oh, 100%.
For sure.
Based on the narration, I'm like, this motherfucker.
Yeah.
Guaranteed they were like, I'm going to re-roll those. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
But
so
like,
no,
and
you
that's
take
like,
standard
that's,
array.
I like standard array too. That's why I like standard array for a variety of reasons. I like that, yeah, it comes built in with cause you get an 8, right? In standard array. So you have to have a negative score. I like the heroic standard array thing, the like thing that I did where it's like, you have a fixed amount of attribute points. You can put them anywhere you want. You just can't be a 20 at
Yeah.
level 1 in
Right.
anything.
Right.
Because, but like I did the math on that and it's like, you can't be good at everything, but you could be like kind of mediocre. Like you could have like 13s across the board actually.
Yeah.
With that, or like 14s across the board.
Right.
And I'm like, if you want to do that, sure, but then you're definitely not going to be great at anything.
Right.
Like you're just going to be +2 mod to everything, I guess.
Jack
Yeah.
of all trades, but a master of none.
Yeah, right. Which like
Right.
could be an interesting character to play.
Yeah.
But like,
But still
and
better
it's-
than a
it's
master
fair,
of
though,
one.
right? Like it's
Mhm.
fair in that respect. Whereas like rolled stats, you have like I've played at tables where like I rolled god tier stats and then like somebody else rolled like literally like I had 83 total points and they had like 71.
yeah.
And I was like, I have 12 more points than them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's
no, it could
not
create like major imbalance.
yeah.
Right?
And I was like, that's not fair to
Yeah.
them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
it's a real frustration
Yeah.
point too on that regard, because then you hit this point where it's like, well, now when it comes to like decision making, this is a whole other topic, but it's
Yeah.
like when it comes to like decision making at the table, the like player with the better stats is going to make decisions differently than the player with the worse stats
Mhm.
because like the risk is
they're more
substantially
survivable.
different.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, it really fucks up that certain dynamics when you have those imbalances. So standard array is great for that reason.
Yeah.
I also think it's interesting now too, because with 2024 rules, all the feats come with a stat bump.
Yeah, +1. Or whatever.
So that actually changes that even more, where it's like even so standard array is even more appealing because now it's like you can still take the feat and have a reasonable improvement to something, right?
I love feats personally.
Yeah.
I love them as part of the game, but for that reason, because it offers customizability. I think they maybe did a good job with that personally. But I think, like you said, it appeals more to standard array. You get fairness, you get equity in that respect, and then you get to kind of still have kind of gives you the cake and eat it too. A little bit. But anywho, lots of red flags in that story. I would say that was like an 80-20 split. 80 OP, I was like, and then 20% I was like, okay, that is a weird thing to do. That's a fair point.
But it's all kind of stuff that's like so much more passable in terms of like an early DM kind of like fooling around and trying stuff out. You know what I mean? Yeah. As opposed to like this player had like such incredibly high demands, I think, for what the context was. So it's like, come on, get
it's like if I am gonna sit down with an inexperienced DM, like I'm gonna give them so much grace. Like I'm like, bro, this shit is hard.
It's hard as hell.
I don't care. Like
it's fucking
and I'm
hard,
also
dude.
like afterwards, if there's anything that's like pretty egregious, I'm like, hey, look, you're free to run your table however you want, but like that's my personal opinion was like that was a poor decision. But I'll do that like one-on-one and again fucking talking to them. I'm not gonna go to the president of the club first as my first order of operations. Anyway, lots of red flags. If you're listening, learn from your experiences.
Don't be like that.
Don't be like that.
Don't be like that.
So,
be a better collaborative storyteller. Or be the DM and then write a book, I guess. That's really what you want to do.
I would not want to play at that person's table.
No, me neither.
Sure.
They sound like not a fun time.
So if you have a D&D horror story, you can send it to us at adventurefordnd@gmail.com.
Yeah, put D&D Horror Story
or
in the
Am I the
line.
Asshole in the title. And we
will
will determine your fate.
And I will review them.
Yeah, and Rebecca will do her traumatic
If it
reading.
doesn't have D&D Horror Story or Am I the Asshole in the subject line, eliminated.
Destroyed.
Automatic disqualification.
Red flag.
Because you can set up filters in Gmail if it has something in the subject line. Anyway, trying to help out our illustrious producer Rebecca here. Make it easy. But
with all that,
this has been Mastering the Game with Seth
and Shane.
Wow! We'll see you next time. Bye nerds.